issues with my son that I need to get answers about so my husband and I can manage these behaviors at home. So right after this, my one next step is I need to go upstairs and I need to have a conversation with one of those family resource folks to figure out, do I need to schedule him behavioral therapy, or is there somebody that I can meet with as a parent just to kind of take the next step to manage these behaviors? So that one step at a time, one thing at a time has been really helpful for me. This is why that action planning is so critical. You can have your goal and then really specific steps. And maybe one day or even 1 week at a time, you do one step. And you say, okay, I did my step for this week. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to even like add yourself some, we have reinforcements for our kids, right? Sometimes I think it's good for myself to have a reinforcement like a coffee or any type of, we were talking about watching Housewives. So I'm going to make these phone calls and then I'm going to watch some Housewives. Whatever that looks like for you. Like I said, we are all different, so don't judge my Housewives. Let's see. Yeah, so managing one thing at a time to doing another like helpful language that I use in my head is doing whatever your next right thing is. So as much as I think in my brain I want to focus on all of these things that I want to do for my kid, like our next right thing for a family tonight is that we're going to have what did I call it? A picnic, a pizza picnic on the porch. That's what we're going to do. It's been a hard week. I'm not cooking dinner tonight. We're having a pizza picnic on the porch. That's the next great thing for our family tonight. Okay, and shift number 3. From folded pieces of paper to a more organized life. So this is my weird personality, but every time I get a piece of paper, I fold it. And I fold it in half, and then I set it down, and sometimes I have it, then you can't see what's on the paper if it's only one side. And that is not good in terms of trying to have an organized life. And so at the very beginning, post-diagnosis, I felt like you have lots of folded papers up there. Practical example. Yes, like I feel like everyone's giving me paperwork, right? And some of it is online, some of it is in person. You even have a tote bag today for more paperwork. But the truth is, it is really hard to stay organized with all the paperwork that we get. And so I talked about this a little bit in the video, but I had to get organized. And so my way of staying organized was creating, I call this the Team Tandy playbook. And so this is not all of our paperwork. Don't even think I have it that together. But I have a file cabinet at home that I keep some of our bigger picture things in. But this is my kind of everyday take to appointments, take to IEP meetings tool. And so one of the things that Elizabeth really challenged me to do was to create, and I had this in here for a while, just a gratitude list of things that can be encouraging when sometimes the things in this binder are not very encouraging. And so for a season I had some things to be grateful for in here. Right now I have a little Valentine's Day card that my son made for me that says, "Mom, I love you." And handwriting is really tricky for him. He has to work really hard on handwriting. And so the fact that I can even read that is amazing. And then it says Happy Valentine's in the back. And Valentine's. So that's great. And this does not have to be a fancy system that you go to Target and buy all like a bunch of fancy things. No, this is I think a binder that I had in college, and I just used some couponing things that I had at home and just tried to get organized. So you have to figure out your system, but this is the system that worked. This is the system that worked for me. Yeah, and so I would have a phone call. I would write things on a half sheet of paper. The notes wouldn't make sense, and then I would go back to the notes, and the next phone call I had, I would be doing a lot of the same questioning and things over and over again. So I think by getting organized, I said on the video that it was really tricky for me to actually know if I was on the waiting list for the Michelle P. waiver. As soon as there was a transition between an online application for it and an in-person application for it about the time of diagnosis, and it was insane. Like I did not know if we were on there, I didn't know if my applications went through, and I didn't know who to ask to figure out if it had gone through. And so I'd be really intentional to kind of make some action steps to figure out is his name on that waiting list? And it is. It just took a while to get there. Okay, so what else is in my book? I've got thing that I have is medical information. And so I have a list of every single doctor that my kids see, and his school, teachers' names, etc. And I have those both in print for the grandparents in my life that don't use Google Docs, and then my husband, who never will look at this book, he likes everything electronically. So I use this in a Google Doc format for him, which is great. And then I also have just a medication list, which I try to keep updated. It is not updated today, full disclosure, because we just made a medication switch this week, but I try to keep it as updated as possible. Also, speaking about medication changes, and just to really affirm one of the things that you ladies said, MyChart is incredibly helpful in terms of asking some of those kind of questions. I've worked with Nurse Judy in DDBP, who is amazing, and she is great at replying back in that window. So we just had a conversation about a medication switch this week. It saved us from kind of getting everybody ready and into an appointment. I was able to get my question answered, and that's a really helpful system. What else do I have in here? I have some just kind of relevant handouts that I get that I know I want close. Anybody seen whole body listening? We have to do some whole body listening in my family, and so I keep superheroes and whole body listening Larry in my folder. So that's just some speech things that we do. And then I also have this is how I label it. It's not fancy. Isaac's latest progress reports and report cards, and then at the end of the school year, I'll just go through. I create a folder for the next year and put these in for the previous year. And so it's a really kind of simple process, but I have everything that I need. If I have a meeting with a teacher, I just grab my binder and I'm ready to go. And then finally, I have his IEP in here that also helps keep me organized for those teacher meetings. And if I'm taking this to a speech or an OT appointment, we're all working on the same goals. And so I think a lot of times, if I don't coordinate what private speech and school speech are doing together, they can be kind of like their own planets. And so care coordination for me is helping to make sure that those pieces are kind of working together. And that's especially critical for the summer. We don't do OT during the school year privately, but we do an episode of care in the summer. And so to make sure that my school OT and my private OT are all working together is huge. Let's see what I forgot on this one. Yeah, for some of you that do prefer electronic, I think there's lots of different tools that you can use. I use Evernote for certain seasons. That's worked, but really right now I'm just using Google Docs. One thing that I always ask our school to do in IEP meetings is, can you send me an electronic copy of this IEP? Some of your schools may do that automatically, mine doesn't. Also, this may not be anybody in this room, but I live in Kentucky, and so navigating the Kentucky to Ohio kind of state line system can be super tricky. And so sometimes I have to say that at the beginning of my phone calls, like, okay, we're in Kentucky, so we're not maybe necessarily, like all those services may not work for our family, but I may need some help navigating Kentucky systems. Also, yeah, another thing that you guys said that I just want to highlight, like when you leave a message, just being ready. Like, my name is Heidi Tandy, parent of Isaac Tandy. I don't even remember my own birthday anymore. I feel like I say my son's birthday all the time. So when they ask me if I'm at the doctor what my birthday is, I don't know. But yeah, so those are just some things that I do to help me stay organized. I also want to say that this process is not linear. There are seasons where I'm more organized than others. There are seasons when I feel more on top of my life than others. I do not by any means have it all figured out. I feel like post-diagnosis, they talk in the autism world that first 100 days is critical. But I think it's even more than that. I think one person's 100 days may be another person's 3 years, or another person's 5 years. And there are seasons of crawling and walking, and then there's seasons of running and sprinting and having it together. And that process isn't necessarily, doesn't always go linear. Sometimes take steps back, and that's okay. But yeah, those shifts. Navigating everybody's feelings through actually just getting set with who your team is huge. From trying to manage everything to trying to manage just one thing at a time, and then from folded pieces of paper to an organized life. And so as you do your action plans today, I just encourage you to think of how you can really get one tangible step so you can leave here feeling empowered to navigate whatever is the next step in your journey.
You touched on it earlier, and it was something that I had not heard of, and we've been going through this for 14 years now with children's. But when we need to schedule multiple appointments where sedation is required, because of, for instance, if he has to go in for an echo and an EKG, but yet it's really nice to be able to schedule a dental cleansing at that same time. I actually missed an appointment last year because the people never got back to me. And I just had that happen again. I had never heard of this concierge service before. Is that who I contact to do that? Because we miss things because people are, okay, we'll get back to you, and then they don't.
And it's, the way divisions schedule things that is one of the most difficult things, is to try and get something scheduled under anesthesia when they're sedated. And I know it requires a lot of back and forth between the divisions.
I don't know that concierge schedule can do that.
So how do we do that? Because I don't know about other parents in here, but I don't want to sedate my child 5 to 10
Absolutely.
times
Absolutely.
a year to have their teeth brushed, to have their ears cleaned.
Right.
So there has to be some way that children's can come up with a better system.
So I would think family relations.
I would bring that to
Family relations. I know they do. They get to the divisions right away. They are a huge help.
And they can cross divisions. So if you need communication across divisions to divisions that aren't speaking to one another, they're an umbrella for the hospital. So like Amy, Janetta, and I will send messages to the same nurse you're talking to, who may or may not get back to us from that other division. But family relations has the ability to, and we won't hide, like when providers have a family relations call, they freak out. Like it scares them, it makes them nervous, they feel like they're in trouble. So usually there's a response really quickly. But the other thing family relations does is they kind of catalog areas of concern. So if you're calling about sedation and that people aren't talking, that complaint gets filed into a bucket, and they're monitoring how often does this complaint happen, how have we resolved it in the past, and can we create a system to stop this issue?
But if people don't know who to contact,
Yeah.
then the problem never gets taken care of.
So if you report it to family
Family
relations,
relations,
they're
they'll
going to go
know
to each other. They're going to go to
But
dental.
I'm saying for 20 other families in here, hadn't I been in here, we've been doing this for 14 years, and I was a Children's Hospital employee and didn't know about this system.
So now please educate others.
Right.
It's
Right.
also, I am in another group that works directly with family relations at the hospital. And we're working to do better about educating bedside nurses to not be scared to tell people it's okay to call family relations.
I have one suggestion, because my son go for dental cleaning, at the same time they do the blood work also.
Mhm.
So that's, they are doing it right now.
Sometimes, when it is scheduled
But I
correctly.
told them that
Right,
yes.
pending the blood work, they are growing blood at the same time.
And if you want to pass the index card forward, if you want me to bring the question forward, or if you want to ask it yourself, so I can bring those up now if you want.
This question is directly related to this stuff. So patient advocates are in the hospital Monday through Friday. So they are in the hospital, they answer phone calls. You can call at any time and leave a message. So if it happens on a Saturday, you can leave a message. They may have some down the week after not hospital. And you meet with them on site. I know where they sit, and there's not an office space where they sit. But it's probably, yes. I've known some to come to a visit at the request of a family. I have asked them to come to a visit and was told the family needs to ask me to come to the visit. So at the request of the family, a patient advocate can attend a visit with you. If you're having like a particular issue, you're concerned about a visit with a particular provider, you can proactively ask them to come along with you.
Can I ask another one? Sorry, y'all. I'm assuming then family relations would be the same place that I would go. I was told by PTOT speech, there's nothing else we can do. And we're discharging your child. And yet I go to my pediatrician and they're like, he needs speech, PT, and OT. And I go, they see him for a week because nobody's willing to step outside the box and go out of their way to learn something new. Is that still family relations?
I would say on your end, you could go to family relations. The provider probably could escalate that through OTPT speech on, like through.
So
their
my
provider.
PCP,
Your PCP can go up that ladder, or if you have subspecialists at the hospital, they could help the PCP climb that ladder.
but my PCP isn't directly at
That's
Children's.
fine.
Correct.
They have, most PCPs in Cincinnati have Epic Access at
Right.
least, or we communicate. So we send letters after visits, they can send us information too. So your PCP would have to contact a subspecialist to say, hey, I need your help advocating for this. These are my concerns. Are you seeing these things? The OT said we're done. I don't agree. Can you help me navigate this?
Say it to me one more time, who are they connect?
They should connect with they could connect with one of the subspecialists.
So connect with a
directly,
subspecialist.
to help escalate that through OTPT speech.
Thank you.
This is a question for Heidi. I think I understood they said at 13 you have to have your child's okay for you to, I guess, talk or advocate for your child.
For my chart.
To my
access.
chart.
Yeah. My chart
For
access.
my chart. And you use my chart. What if he says no, you can't?
For our particular situation, if I understand what y'all said, Isaac has a developmental disability, so there would be a, yeah, there would be a,
There's a
physician's
decision
form.
form that states this child is not of decision-making capability, and if they sign that, it allows the family to continue to have my chart. That happens again at 18.
Yeah.
Like my chart turns off at 18.
I can see 18, but I don't see
Yeah,
13.
well,
So
That's
at
when you're
13, the child
rebellious.
also, they're gonna, like in research, the child will be asked to assent to research, and if the child doesn't give assent for research, you may not be able to participate in this program. Unless your child has a developmental disability, and there's a provider who says this child has developmental disability and is not able to make this decision making.
And I would probably be, it's a long time until he's 13, but I would one of the things that our family prioritizes is we want his story to be his story, and if he doesn't want to participate, I will, or if he doesn't, like, I'm gonna let that be his story. And so I think, I value that, I feel like that's valuing him as a person, even though, even though that data probably would be helpful, I still want him to have his own autonomy in the situation.
This question is for Cincinnati employees. So I'm new to Cincinnati, so I'm hearing this 13. So is that law, or is this something that children have decided to incorporate in regards to, because I just found out that you're legal at 17 in the state of Ohio. So how does that, I want to know if that's is that a law that you guys, in regards to, is that tied in with HIPAA? I'm trying to figure out how does 13, because this is a minor.
So I'm not familiar with 17, but, so 13, it's not a law. It is a hospital policy, but it's not children's by itself. It's pretty common in the research world, which is where this came from. Because on the other end, we serve a wide variety of children and adults. So I've been in prenatal visits with 13-year-old pregnant moms talking about their baby. I can't talk about their baby to her mom, because she doesn't have that right. But, so it's complicated. So 13 is not, it's not a law, it's a hospital policy. And we have a lot of teens, 13, 14-year-old teens who are coming to see us, and we don't see a parent. We're just seeing that child. So it's, when we think about children, it's that whole spectrum of, we see moms prenatally, and don't go spreading all this stuff about the adult clinics, because there are not very many of them. But I am working with 50 and 60-year-old adults too. So we see this huge spectrum of people. So it's not law, but it is hospital policy. And in 18, is 18, your child's 18. 18th birthday. For state, for guardian age. Legal age, 18.
Okay, so in the state of Ohio, if you get married at 17, isn't that what I just heard?
I
You
didn't
get without a parent's permission?
Without a parent's, I've never heard of it.
But back to the age of 13, in regards to that, that's the
Yeah.
reason why. Okay, interesting.
I guess I'm really old, okay. In the olden days, I did a teen clinic, and we had confidentiality for our teenagers that came that were sexually active, but we always had the parents sign that we could see them, and we didn't have to. So they knew we were seeing them, but we didn't converse that, you know, they were sexually active or whatever, but you don't even have the parents sign anything.
So,
Because they're still a minor, and they came up pregnant, who's gonna take care of that baby with the parent, I would
well,
think.
that, I mean, that's
There'll be another breakout.
if a 16-year-old walks into the teen health center and needs care, they're gonna provide care.
Are they responsible for the building?
No, you can go to financial assistance and sign off on the paperwork. And also, when we're thinking about, you're all vested parents, right? You're here. Not every kid we see has a vested parent. And they're still with their parents, and I don't want to go down that road of the children's services world. Some teenagers are caring for themselves and they're caring for their younger siblings, and they're maybe caring for their family members, and caring for mom or dad or grandpa. So we work to serve every kid who comes, and adult who comes through our doors. So that does mean there are policies and procedures that are in place that may not make sense, or make there be a hurdle that we all have to jump through. What we want you to know is who to go to figure out what those are and how you get them. There's very limited, this care coordination, care management is a fun term. There's very limited care coordination and care management as I'm looking at other social workers in the hospital in this room. Social work tries to play that role, but we cannot serve the number of kids we see. So I do recommend if you're followed in a subspecialty area, you can find out who the social worker is so you know who to ask questions to. Following the primary care center, you can get care management if you need it, but that's pretty much it. And the other thing with social work that can be a little bit different, number one, we can kind of have a bad rep. We don't just like report to children's services and take babies away. It's not really what we want to do. What we do, we try to connect families within the hospital. So when there's breakdowns within the hospital, because we're all over. So we can connect, I can reach out to my friends on the inpatient side and say, this is what is happening here. The other thing we can do, we can communicate in more ways than one. So Heidi said making phone calls is hard. If I call you, I will leave you a message. If I have an ability to message you some other way, if I have an email address in your child's chart, if your My Chart says active, I will tell you my message. I will also try to email you and My Chart you. You can communicate with me in whatever way is best for you. So I get it that a lot of the parents I'm working with are trying to work, and then after they get home from work, now you've got a kid, and so maybe the best time for you to talk or send a message to somebody is at 11 o'clock at night, when the kids are in bed, and now you have a minute to yourself. So I try to always say, and I'll leave messages saying, if phone is not how you want to communicate, please let me know how you want to talk. because I probably have information to share with you that I think will help you, maybe it won't. But I want to do that in whatever format is best for you. Not everybody has the same ability to like do the emails, or like, I can email easier. I emailed a family here today. I'm not calling any families from here today, but I can reply to an email when I'm not at work, but I'm working. So if you don't like phone calls, it's okay to tell us that. Just tell us how you would prefer to communicate to.
Any other questions? No? Okay. We can end early. So leave your evaluations on your chair. Lunch is going to be starting soon. So I want to thank you for our speakers today.
Express over here. Let me just fill this out real quick. You guys don't have to wait that long.
Less than 3 years. It's less than 3 years, then you're new. So we just, when you do your check-in and say, it's also but it's a physical space.
Those questions.
So,
too this morning. So, no, I stopped buying whatever, however many ounces, you know, and try 2 ways in case I want to split it
And
up.
then they also be so, like, if you're coming, appointments and you want
So you think that's your line? What is that what? It's gross because my mom is.
Oh, no problem.
Sorry.
So first step transfer form.
So they can navigate those pieces. So within DDHD, we don't have. So she's one of them. So there's 6 families provided staff through DDH who are people, any family is contact. Am I on the right path? If your questions become clinical, or if your questions become out of their scope, then they say we call us a social worker. But you can also call a social worker. Or we work with social workers, like, we share. Do you know if this is a treatment?
I'm gonna leave, I got a teacher to go to this class.
Yes. And it's, or like, you guys are listening to. You can call us.
This one was in the wrong room and this person didn't end up coming.
We have shared, we have shared voicemail. And then we each have, well,
That's how I do my phone.
so you end up in the shared voicemail, someone will call you out. The DDP do like the social work line.
But, I think that's what my sort of.
They have nothing.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes I do that with surveys. I saved the article.
That's
I
it.
went to the office.
Pretend I remember. So, yeah. I was scheduled to,
Yes.
just
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Psychiatrist would know, like, I like them. Dr. Dominic is coming. And all that stuff. And she's just her next one.
I don't avoid phone calls. I'm not better in
They, I mean, they are.
when I first started.
Those psychiatrists have more thoughts about the whole person than a lot of other psychiatrists. But there's still
So it's funny.
I didn't know that.
Traditional treatment covers 20 to 25 minutes a year.
she's running 2 sessions.
Recommends we pay for both. So I was invited that and.
It's all right, you do what you need to do. She's a fighter.